Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Thank you for listening to Your Working Life, my podcast series featuring thought leaders in the career and personal growth arena. You spend a significant portion of your life at work, so I'm on a mission to provide you with tools, inspiration, and resources so you can enjoy your career and love your life. And I am thrilled to have my very special guest on the show today, Staci Riordan. Staci, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm really excited to have you on the show. I was chatting with you before we got started, and I'm always excited to talk about lawyers who are thriving in their career because for 7 years I was working in a law school as a director of career development, helping young lawyers forge that first step on their career path. And you have quite an interesting legal career and have created a niche in fashion law. But let me tell our listening audience all about you, and then we'll dive into a juicy conversation. Staci Riordan is in the area of fashion law and is one of the only women practicing what she coined fashion law with clients such as H&M, Express, Wet Seal, Lucky Brands, and James Perse, to name a few. Based in LA and a partner at the law firm Nixon Peabody, Staci is a former executive at an apparel company, and she helps fashion brands adapt, innovate, and stay ahead of their competition. She regularly counsels clients on the creation, use, and exploitation of creative content while developing strategic growth plans aimed at brand cultivation. And she's forward-thinking in her practice, guiding her clients through the ever-changing marketplace and digital landscaping. And Staci started the Fashion Law Project at her alma mater, Loyola Law School, where she is also a professor. She teaches her students all the facets of starting a fashion company, from running it to growing it and eventually selling it. So Staci, I'm really excited to learn more about you. And I understand you grew up in a family involved in the fashion business. So tell me that story.
I'm the fourth generation in my family to work in fashion. My mom worked in the business, my grandfather worked in the business, and my great-grandfather worked in the business. And there's no such thing as child labor laws when it comes to your own children.
There you go. It's fair if it's family.
That's right. So my mom, she was a single mom, and I had a brother, so it was easier for her to leave my brother with my uncle, and she started taking me to work with her when I was 5. Wow. I learned to sew on the big industrial machines. I started, making clothes for my dolls and then purses and different things in her factory. And then she took me to sales events and meetings, and she took me to trade shows, and sooner after she sold her manufacturing company, she opened a retail store. So I went shopping for her store with her, and then also worked in her store after school. Our family dinners usually involve the family business.
Yeah, I bet.
So we had lots of conversations about this sales rep or this new style or this new color, or, things, the customers at the stores or the returns, or how do we get more customers. So I grew up in fashion, and I grew up on the business side of fashion.
Wow. Now, so tell me then, how did you end up in the fashion industry as an executive? Was that just post-university, before law school? What did that look like?
Yeah, so I wanted to move out to Los Angeles. I grew up outside Boston, and I'm not a cold weather girl at all.
Time to go west.
Right? My hair used to freeze on the way to school, and this is before seat warmers and automatic door openers.
Right.
All that stuff. So, and we would come out here shopping for her store, and who doesn't love palm trees, flip-flops, sunny and 80 every single day? But my mom, we're very family-oriented in my family, and she's like, you're going to move to California, and you're going to get married and have babies, and I'm never going to see you. So when applying for college, I was limited the Mississippi River east, and I had to stay on the East Coast.
They gave you parameters, did they?
They did. But so I went to college at Emory, which is as far away as possible from the weather of the East Coast. And in my sophomore year, my mom calls me up and she says, Staci, sit down. I have to tell you something. She says, I'm getting divorced. I'm selling my store. I'm moving to California. Do you want to come?
Oh, my gosh. Surprise.
I'm like, Mom, you know I wanted to. Anyway, so once I graduated, she came out here when I was in college and she was working for someone else. And right around the time I graduated, she launched another company. And it was her and a partner and they needed help. And she's like, move to California, come help me. I need you. I need you. And I'm like, Mom, I want to be a lawyer. I want to stay in Atlanta. The Olympics are coming. It's really cool, whatever. And she's like, well, you can use my fax machine and look for jobs while you help me.
I love your mom.
I know, she's very persuasive. So I moved out here. I wanted to, and that fax machine was a real winner.
I bet.
And she was starting a company, and her company took off. On my third day there, she got a full store buyout order from Nordstrom.
Wow.
And put her stuff in 300 stores across the country. And they were a brand new startup little company, and they didn't have the capital, or we didn't have the capital to do it. So we took a much smaller order, and the company grew in leaps and bounds. So we moved 4 times in our first year. We were doing, a few $1 million by the end of our second, by $5 million by the end of the second, running for 15 by the end of our third. And then what tends to happen in all fashion brands, her and her partner had this huge fight. They didn't have any paperwork. They didn't know what to do, so they just shut down the company. To this day, they don't speak to each other. But
fashion fight, right?
Yep. And I teach them in my class the famous fashion fights. But it turned out I had a knack for running businesses. So when her business closed, I went to work for other people, and each company got bigger and bigger and bigger. And people say, well, what did you do when you're in fashion? And I said, I ran operations, which means I made things on time, on budget, on price, shipped to the right person with the right hang tags, boxed the right way with the right markings on it, so the distribution center wouldn't kick it back and charge us back.
Wow. And you started at age 5.
Yeah, I started at age 5, and I went to about age 30, which is when I started law school.
Which is non-traditional, right? Because so many, at least today, so many students are entering law school right after minting an undergrad. So good for you. But it sounds like you had that yearning and itch to investigate law school much earlier.
Yeah, I always wanted to be a lawyer when I was a little girl. My dream was to become a Supreme Court justice because they never could be fired and they could say whatever they wanted.
Do you still have that dream, or are you fully ensconced in the fashion world?
I'm happy where I am. Okay. Maybe eventually.
Never say never, right? You'd be
never say never.
The most well-dressed judge or justice. So I'd love to hear how you created the first national fashion law practice, because that is so unique.
Thank you. Well, my goal of going to law school, so I always loved the law, and it turned out in my job, I loved the fine print. So all of those manuals and documents that no one reads, I read everything.
I
just thought it was fascinating on how all these businesses work together. And I also thought it was fascinating that in the creative industries, most people didn't care about documents and things were still done on a handshake. And then my experience with my mom and her partner, they didn't have an operating agreement, so they didn't know what to do with their company when they weren't talking to each other anymore. So I thought that my experience in running fashion businesses and my experience with creative people combined with legal training would really help the fashion industry. And it was a needed service that wasn't being provided. So my goal in going to law school was to come out and be what I call now a fashion lawyer. So then to do that, and I wanted to work in-house and work as a general counsel. And to do that, you have to go, generally, the advice I was given was do really well in school, get a job as a summer associate, work at a big firm, work there 3 to 5 years, and then you can go in-house. But
because it's hard. It's hard for newly minted attorneys to go in-house. You've got to have some firm experience first.
Yes, you do. So in my third year, I wrote a business plan and a marketing plan and sent it to the head of my department. And I said, I want to start a fashion law practice. You knew this was my background when you hired me. This is my interest. This is what I want to do. I think he was blown away that a lawyer actually wrote a business plan.
That's true.
So he approved it, and I was in the litigation department, and right now my practice is half litigation and half transactional work. And I thought as a marketing strategy, I couldn't go up to someone and say, hi, my name is Staci, do you want to sue someone?
Right.
That probably won't work. But I figured I could say, do you have a partnership agreement? Is your trademark registered? Do you have an employee manual, especially being in California and we're such an employment state here? And I had I thought 2 to 3 years, this would turn into something, but within 3 months, I had new clients and I was being kept busy, and clients were referring me clients, and that gave the firm the confidence to allow me to move to my second stage of my business plan, which is to launch a fashion law practice group, which we
Wow.
did.
So now just to back up a little bit, so you were a summer associate at Nixon Peabody, came on full time, and then pitched this wonderful new practice.
Yes, I was a summer, but it wasn't at Nixon. I was at a different firm
Okay,
called
got it.
Deal. And then I was there. It was when I was in my second to third year, somewhere in there as an associate.
Got it. So then you brought this practice after you successfully launched it somewhere else to Nixon Peabody.
Yes, except there was one firm in between, because Thielen in 2008 was one of the two big California firms that went bankrupt.
Yeah.
So in 2008, I went to another firm called Fox Rothschild, which is also a national firm, and I launched their fashion law practice, and we grew to 25 people.
Wow.
And when Thielen dissolved, it basically, a third of us kind of went into the wind, a third of the people went to Reed Smith, and a third of the people came here to Nixon. So my old Thielen colleagues found me.
I bet they did, yeah.
Come home, you need to come back home. I'm like, okay. So about a year ago next week, actually, I moved to Nixon.
Wow, that's great. So is fashion law exploding in law firms, or do you think it's very coastal? I can see the wisdom of it happening and thriving in LA, but also New York. Do you see it happening on both coasts?
I do. I think it was in 2012, Reuters called the fashion lawyer the must-have accessory for every fashion brand.
Beautifully branded. Yes.
Yes, it was very, very nice. So I've seen fashion law practices now pop up at firms across the country, not just in Los Angeles or in New York, which is a lot of them are there, but most cities across the country have boutiques, like my mom's boutique, or they have some form of manufacturing, or they have someone who's servicing a boutique, and all of them can use the advice of someone experienced in both the fashion industry.
Yeah, that's a valid point, and that's wonderful for the aspiring designers and entrepreneurs listening, right? That you don't need to be on either coast, right? Entrepreneurs are popping up all over the place. So I'm fascinated by how quickly the practice grew at all of the firms that you've worked in. How large is the practice at Nixon these days? How many lawyers on the ground in the practice area?
So 5 of us came over here from Fox together, and I think since we've been here, there were some people. I would say we're about 15 to 17 right now at Nixon and growing.
That's amazing. So, Staci, you're also the executive director of the Fashion Law Project at Loyola, which is your alma mater, and you're also teaching there. So clearly you're paying it forward to the next generation of attorneys interested in this area. Tell me about that.
Well, I was at a meeting. When I said I wanted to be a fashion lawyer back in the day, everyone used to laugh at me. They're like, "There's no such thing. You can't be a fashion lawyer," or they'd make a Legally Blonde joke, right?
Oh, yeah.
So now I say I'm a fashion lawyer. People say, "That's so cool. How do I become one?" And the dean of Loyola Law School was around when someone asked me that question, and he's like, "I want you to teach fashion law at Loyola." And I said, "Well, I want to teach it." And it's one of my goals to see it taught in law schools across the country, like entertainment law, sports law.
I agree.
And
Fantastic.
so that's how we got started. We got started 4 years ago. The project officially launched 2 years ago because they wanted to test the concept first. We have 5 courses in our program that the Loyola students can take. You can get a minor in fashion law. They call it a concentration or something like that, which wasn't available when I was in law school, but I guess it's like a trend now in law schools, a focus. And we also have an annual symposium for all of the lawyers in the area and the students. And we have a summer intensive program for students or people at other schools or in other states that don't have a program like ours in their vicinity. And our goal is to be an academic center where we can take the business and legal community and the people invested in the issues facing the fashion industry and bring them all together in a big public forum, public square, and have a debate and let each side learn from each other and grow with each other and answer and solve problems together. So it's an industry-focused practice.
I love it. Love it. Fantastic. You are leading the way. So I'd like to pick your brain a little bit because I know that online shopping for retailers has just changed the marketplace so much. So has that impacted fashion as well?
Yeah, I call it the democratization of fashion.
Okay.
And the internet has allowed people to be whatever type of fashionista they want to. And what I mean by that is when I was a kid, like if short skirts were in, you threw away all your long skirts. Or if wide leg trousers were in, you would never wear a tailored pant. Or whatever the style may be, there were very clear trends that everyone, like air quotes, everyone followed. But now with the rise of the internet and Instagram and social media, everyone is their own, style blogger. So if you want to be a goth person, or you want to be a hippie bohemian person, or if you want to be shabby chic, or if you want to be, rock and roll, whatever you want, there's a style that you can find on the internet that suits you. And not only do you find the people posting the pictures, you find stores or e-commerce sites that are selling the clothes to support that micro trend or niche market. And because of that, the traditional gatekeepers, which were all of your national retailers, don't have as much influence. And their sales are declining and their power in the market is declining because everyone can just use the internet, Google what they're looking for, and then buy it.
Find it, yeah. I love your term micro trend, right? And I think that's beautifully liberating because it doesn't have to be this broad, sweeping cultural movement. It can be a micro trend.
Yeah.
So
and are you what they want for themselves, which is really nice.
Exactly. So are you a fashionista? Are you definitely someone on the cutting edge, or what are your micro trends in fashion?
This new athleisure trend that's like in the market right now, big fan of that because between my law practice, teaching at school, I have 2 children, happily married, I have 2 dogs.
I get it. You're an active woman. Yeah.
I'm always on the go. So I generally at the moment go for comfort over high fashion, although I do have some pieces when I need to be someplace in public.
You clean up well, right?
Yeah.
Staci, let me ask though, because and you've noticed, I'm sure, and it is different in different geographies, but the legal profession used to be somewhat suit driven, right? A little more conservative. Speaking of dogs, there are my dogs. Sorry, there's probably the UPS person at the door. So the joys of live theater. Do you sense that there is a shift, especially in California, in the legal market, for legal practitioners?
It's funny. I was just having this conversation earlier today. I'm speaking at Rochester Fashion Week in 3 weeks, and they asked the exact same question. I think in California, it's a lot easier to be more casual, given our blue jean, t-shirt, flip-flop lifestyle. I would say that law firms are still very conservative, even though most of them are business casual now. In my practice or in an entertainment practice, for example, you can get away with a lot more than your average associate could.
Yeah.
I think that when dressing in a manner in which your clients dress makes your clients more comfortable, and lawyers don't have to be seen as this other or have this separation between our clients. And that thought process is slowly permeating through the very stodgy law firm.
That's good. That's good. I agree. It's relatability, right? We want to be able to relate to our attorney and to trust them and, earn that respect. But it's comfortable when someone reflects, someone that you can relate to. Excellent. So, Staci, one last question, then I'll let you go because I know you're a busy woman. You, as a professor in law school, work with current lawyers, and I affectionately call them baby lawyers, right, before they're minted and licensed and ready to go. So, what's your advice for the budding law student soon to be licensed and minted and ready to go in the legal profession? It's tough out there.
It's really tough out there. I would say ask everyone you know and work your network. You never know. I got my first job. I worked at Guess in their legal department because I was speaking to my hairdresser and I was telling him, I'm in law school now. And he's like, you work in fashion. What are you doing in law school? And I told him everything I just told you. And he's like, oh my gosh, you should talk to the woman in the chair in front of you. She's the general counsel of Guess. So if you're looking for a job, tell everyone you're looking for a job.
Yeah.
There's no shame in asking, and everyone's going to say you only need one yes. You're going to get a gazillion no's, but you only need one yes. So tell everyone who you know, and your mom and their cousin and the neighbor and the gardener, you're looking for a job in the legal industry. And then if you get a job, become a really good lawyer. You need good training and become very good at what you do. And once you do that, it's much easier to get where you want to go. But that, getting a job where you get good training is the most important first step.
Excellent. Staci Riordan, what a joy to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your wisdom and expertise. I wish you continued success, and I'm just delighted that you could share your time with me.
Oh, thank you for having me. This was great.
I'm so glad. And I want to thank our listening audience for tuning in to Your Working Life, where my goal is to help you design your career destiny so it doesn't happen by default. True career and life satisfaction is possible, and it's time to embrace what you love doing so you can do more of it. I'm Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Take good care.